Hi, welcome to Hello Malaysia with me, Putri Mahira, and also my co-host,
Khairul Kwan.
Yes, and for today, Khairul, we are going to talk about breaking the corruption chain.
Correct. In conjunction with the International Anti-Corruption Day, which fall on the 9th of December.
Yes,
and
right.
we are honored to have these two guests inside our studio. To my right will be the...
we have Dato' Haji Mustafa Haji Ali, the Deputy Chief Commissioner for Prevention from Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, and also Dato' Abdul Wahab Abdul Aziz, the Director from Malaysia Anti-Corruption Academy, or MACA. Welcome to the show, Dato' Mustafa and also Dato' Abdul Wahab.
Thank you.
Right.
All right, before we go straight into the topics, we want to know behind what are your background, where you're from.
Yeah.
So we start with that.
Oh, that's quite a long story. But I can, make it short. I'm from Banting, Selangor. My education, of course, from University Malaya. Graduated in 1984. Pursued my study in criminal justice in United States in 1995. And of course, I joined MACC actually, started in 1985, and in 2004 I was seconded to Malaysian Institute of Integrity as Deputy President of the Institute for about 6 years. And in March 2010 I was appointed as Director of Investigation back to MACC, and in June this year I was appointed as Deputy Chief Commissioner Prevention of the MACC.
So this has been your expert area, and this line of investigation and criminal combating field.
Well, in MACC I was in the prosecution side, in the investigation, in prevention, in the management and policy research and all that. So I would say, that's I've gone through the mill in MACC.
Right. We can see why you're so passionate about your job. And what about you, Dato' Abdul Wahab?
Oh, I'm from Terengganu.
Okay.
Like Dato' joined MACC just a few months after I joined. I joined in 1984, September 1984, sorry. So since then, I have been transferred to many of the state office of MACC, and then sometime in 2006, I was seconded to Amanah Raya Berhad as a Chief Integrity Officer. I graduated from in industrial and organizational psychology, and pursue my study also on the same line.
Right. Now let's talk about MACC. What is MACC's vision and mission, Dato'?
Again, if I can, elaborate quite at length, talk about the vision. But in short, I must mention here, of course, when we talk about Malaysian Anti-Corruption Agency, it started those days in 1967 with the establishment of the Anti-Corruption Agency. Where we have our first act in 1961. But all along, the vision of MACC goes back to the ACA at the time, of course, to create corrupt-free Malaysian society. We talk about how to ensure the inculturation of integrity. Of course, we talk about very specific issues of anti-corruption. Secondly, of course, when we talk about the Anti-Corruption Agency as an establishment, we talk about how to ensure the MACC a par excellent organization, so that we are really talking about the professionalism of MACC. We are talking about the officers imbued with integrity, as well as the professionalism of the MACC officers, all in all. So I think that's the vision. Of course, the mission, it is in place. Talk about not only MACC do, but to eradicate corruption, it's not only MACC, but we talk about the whole community, the whole society to be together with us. So in brief, I must mention here the mission to get the support of the people, to get the support of all sectors of the society to be together in a concerted effort in combating corruption.
Right.
Yeah. As Dato' say, creating an responsible officer. So that's where Dato' Wahab come in. So
Yes,
do
that's where Waka comes
yeah,
in.
Yeah.
do tell the role of the academy to help MACC
Okay.
as the
Before
officer.
I proceed with the role of the function or the mission of MACA,
Yeah.
let me explain, because sometimes they get confused within the MACA and MACC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get different between the A and C. Okay. Our Malaysian Anti-Corruption Academy is our parent body is MACC. So the main function of the MACA to train the MACC officer. That's the main objective of our academy. So our mission, other than to train our officer pertaining to anti-corruption or prevention of corruption, we also train other department officer, other government officer. So we want our vision to be the center of excellence in anti-corruption as training, especially.
Right.
That's our vision.
Right, Dr. Mustafa, I have asked you before, but I'm going to ask you again. Why do we need a special commission to conduct the investigation on corruption? Why can't we just send all these cases to police?
You see, if you remember, the establishment of ACA in 1967, the name is ACA, Anti-Corruption Agency, and it was reviewed and then the name changed to National Bureau of Investigation, BSN at the time, Bureau Siasatan Negara. When people talk about BSN or National Bureau of Investigation, NBI, people perceive or people think anything can be investigated, it must be the do and the doing of the BSN or NBI. But to give real focus into the establishment of Anti-Corruption Agency, so the name was changed. Not only the change of the name, but to real focus on anti-corruption. We talk about giving and taking of bribe. We talk about abuse of power. We talk about falsification of document. So and whatnot. So this is the doing, the job and roles and responsibility of ACA that time, and of course continue MACC. Well, police will take charge of so many things.
Right.
You see, MACC in those days, well, we started with as a younger brother of police.
Correct.
It started with a unit established under the police department. But as I mentioned, the government wanted it to be a real force to look into corruption issues, to take charge of how to prevent corruption from happening. It started again from before the Independence Day of Malaysia. You see, we talk about to give real focus and also to zoom in into issues of corruption, and that's again why the establishment of MACC and also the AC at that time was really focused on issues of this nature.
Okay. We know that there's a transformation of name and also structural transformation from ACA to MACC. So what is the significance of this transformation?
I started by saying this earlier about the change of the names of ACA to BSN or NBI, and then again, 1st of January 2009, the name changed to Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. See, a commission was, and not only the change of the name, but more importantly, the change of the structure of the MACC. By having said that, see, we are talking about not only MACC as independent body as before, because in 1967, since 1967, MACC or ACA at that time was put under the Prime Minister Department.
Right.
Even then, ACA is really independent, but of course we are being put under Prime Minister Department for the purpose of personal arrangement. We talk about the finance issues, exercise and all that. But when changing the name of MACC since 1st January 2009, as I said, the structure changed. We have the 5 oversight body that being put in place. Why I mention this? Because the transformation as such, the structural change, whereby these 5 committees are the one that overseeing MACC, who monitor us, who really put in place in terms of will talk to MACC. This is the thing that you need to do. These are the policies that you need to change, for example. And the 5 committees, I must say, are quite length here, because one, we have the special committee on anti-corruption in Parliament. You see, we don't have that before. Secondly, and on the special committee in Parliament, we have the government member of Parliament and also the opposition member of Parliament together, and then now chaired by the Speaker of the Senate. You see, by having that, the report that we had, we submitted to this committee, and they are the one who will scrutinize the report and then submit to the Parliament.
Right.
Secondly, we have the advisory committee, advisory board, so-called. This advisory board will look into the doing of MACC into the policy, giving advice to us. So, and they are people of personalities that really give advice, you know, and whatnot. Thirdly, we have the complaints committee. This complaint committee will oversee the officers of the MACC, whether or not we are conducting our investigation or prevention in terms of the behavior part. If misbehavior of the MACC officer, they are the one who will look into all this angle.
Right.
Another 2 panel, which was established, what we call as the Operation Review Panel, where we conducted our investigation, where I come from before this, since I was the Director of Investigation. All cases that we investigated, we have to submit to Deputy Public Prosecutor to scrutinize and to make decision whether to charge or not to charge. If they decided not to charge, all cases must be tabled to this Operation Review Panel as a mechanism of check and balance, looking into why the case was asked to be closed by the Deputy Public Prosecutor. So, as I said, these are mechanisms of check and balance. One, MACC as investigator. We have the prosecutor from DPPs and from the Attorney General's office will decide to charge or not to charge. But we have another mechanism as a real, as a due process of law, and talk about the mechanism of check and balance. So far, I must mention here, about 39 cases was asked to be reviewed, and from that, 9 cases was asked to was decided, was reverted, and then it was charged in court. Another panel, what we call the Consultation and Prevention Panel, giving advice, and also we talk about how to, you know, to ensure the support and the confidence of the society towards MACC. So they are the one who really put forward their opinion, their suggestion and recommendation to MACC. So these are the real transformation of ACA to MACC. Of course, there are a lot of, you know, many transformation that I can mention after this.
Right, and that also shows the commitment and dedication of the government towards combating corruption. And
okay, as for coming back to the topic, you know, so breaking the chain of corruption, why must we fight corruption?
Probably Dr. Wahab.
Why must we fight corruption?
Yeah.
Why is it so important for us to combat and, you know,
Fight corruption.
Just as we know that some say that corruption is like a cancer. Like cancer, we need to prevent it. To don't let it spread all over the society, because when the corruption is spread out of the society, it harms not only the people that involved in the corruption, but the other people. The public at large. You know.
Right.
So
Doctor, we'd love to talk more about this cancerous behavior, corruption. But before that, we have to go for a short break. Stay tuned to Hello Malaysia with us.
My precious little Nita, why did you leave me? How hard I tried, My pain does not go away. My child has become a victim because of me.
Pakcik, boleh saya tolong?
We cannot change the past, but we can protect our future if we act now.
Menongkah batasan masa, mengupas isu semasa, menjadi saluran pelbagai suara. Segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Current issues, latest headlines, illuminating visuals. Everything right and now on Bernama News.
Hi, welcome back to Hello Malaysia with me, Putri, and also
Cairo. And if you have any question, you can email us at hellomalaysia.english@bernama-tv.com, or you can just comment on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Just find it Bernama TV.
yes, and Kara, we're still talking about breaking the corruption chain in conjunction with the International Anti-Corruption Day, and with us here we have Datuk Mustafa Haji Ali from MACC and also Datuk Abdul Wahab from MACA. Right, before we went for a break, Datuk Abdul Wahab was explaining how corruption is such a cancerous behaviour inside our society. So maybe you can continue with that, Datuk.
Yes. When there's a cancer, that means we need someone to take care, to look into the matters. I mean, this kind of the function of Malaysia Anti-Corruption Academy, and to train the officer that deal. I mean, the first one, the MACC officer itself, and also we need to train the other public servant, other private sector also to talk about what is the evil of corruption. I think that's the main thing we need to do. As a Maka itself, that you need to train, to teach them, to educate the people, especially from the within the organisation, to deal with the corruption effectively with the knowledge that they have.
Right. And probably Datuk have
add on?
some
I'd like to add. I remember this quotes from Abraham Lincoln saying that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. So when we talk about good people, we have to do something.
Right.
When we talk about corruption, we have to eradicate corruption. If only we possible zero corruption. If not, we talk about zero tolerance against corruption. Why? When we talk about zero tolerance against corruption, today we can do it, yesterday we can do it, of course in future we can do it. And again, why we must fight corruption? You see, as Dato' Wahab mentioned, it's cancerous, right?
Yep.
When we talk about corruption, it's a really a global phenomena. It's not only in Malaysia, in other parts of the world. When we talk about the opportunity of corruption, we talk about what are the type of corruption that happen. So by looking into the totality, the holistic nature, so we understand not only corruption can really harm an individual, but also a nation, a country, the world at large. And when we talk about why, again, we have had experiences. You see, not in Malaysia, of course. We talk about in other part of the world where the social injustice happen because of corruption. The social unrest will exist. Why I say that? You see, the downfall of an individual, the downfall of the ruler, the downfall of the leaders of the country, the president and whatnot. So by having all this in front of us, what I must mention here, the people we realize we have to do something about it, because corruption is not about who. Corruption is about harm to the people, harm to the society, to the nation, to the global environment. That's why we said corruption, as any other criminal, is a really borderless crime now.
True.
Because you can push a button, the money was transacted overseas, and that nature will really put a country at stake. The downfall, as I said, the downfall of the nation, the downfall of the leaders of the country, the ruler. So by having to understand, we have to fight corruption. Then only people really feel the advantages for them to be together to fight this tragedy, so-called.
Yes, very true.
Yeah, in conjunction with the International Anti-Corruption Day. So, could you elaborate more on what is the international all about?
Anti-corruption day.
You see, it is not something that people like to have, anti-corruption day, a Mother's Day, Parents' Day, or whatnot. But we talk about a really significant day, because when we talk about International Anti-Corruption Day, it is not for that particular day. It is on the 9th of December every year. But not on that day. It is just a matter of to ensure people aware.
Right.
We need to combat corruption to the last end. We need to really embark in terms of the spirit. We look into why the need, concerted effort, the holistic manner of realizing if we are not the champion of anti-corruption, what will happen to the country? If we are not the champion of the very small division in their own organization, what will happen to their own capacity? So by having said that, why the significance of having all this is actually to make people understand, this is the issues of corruption. Because when we talk about Mother's Day, people understand, just not because of that particular day, but we are talking about the effort that we need, the caring and sharing of a mother. So by having to understand the International Anti-Corruption Day, we put forward that particular day, and of course with 364 nut days, you see, that we have to really champion it, and we have to really make an effort to be together, not only with MACC, with the government, but with all walks of society.
Right, and I've heard that MACC has done something on that day for this year.
This year we had quite a different kind of, I must say, event and program. On the 9th of December, we had a dialogue session. We have had, forums and coloring contest for kids. But more importantly, why I said different, because the theme of that day for this year, we call it as public-private partnership in combating corruption, issues and challenges. Why all the words, the theme? Because we are talking about, now we have the issues and challenges. We have the opportunity. What are the opportunity? Not only the 9th December as being declared as International Anti-Corruption Day, but more importantly, the action part. Issues and challenges, the opportunity. Now we are talking about action. Not only action just by mere talking, but mere doing of, combating corruption, to report corruption, to aware about the tragedy. I like the word tragedy, because the menace of corruption is something that nobody wants it to happen.
Yes, exactly, and we can see that MACC is doing a lot. Without credible officers, you cannot, carry out your job well, and
create confidence and
yes,
transparency.
Credible officers only come from good training, which is conducted by MACA. So, what is the module in your training?
Okay, let me start with the new recruit. Okay, once the officer of MACC, they have to attend the basic training for 12 months, which divided into two phases. The phase one is a learning phase, and the second one is on-the-job training. So they need to go through the 12-month training program. So for the new recruit.
Right.
But we also conducted a training for in-service officer by in-house training. We conduct in-house training.
How long is the training?
Depends on the what kind of training, because we focus on the investigation, intelligence, prevention, also about the leadership also. So it depends on what kind of training, what kind of courses. So that one only in the short run. I mean, maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. That depends. So they will focus. What we want to focus on is it on the corruption prevention or the investigation part or intelligence of that. That depends. So for 1 year, we conducted in-house training, more than 100 courses every year. So let's say in 2014 until November now, until November, we have conducted 130 training program, which involve 4,113 participants. Participants, which include the MACC officer for 2,600. We also train the other government agency, I mean the public officer, 657, 614 from the private sector, and also we train 228 international for this year until November. So that.
All right.
I'd like to add on that, because Dr. Wahab has touched on the international participant. You see, MACA, Malaysian Anti-Corruption Academy, not only to cater for MACC officers, but it has become a regional hub to train in like-minded institution as MACC. You see, people from other parts of the world, Middle East, from Asia Pacific, come to MACA, and they wanted our officer to train them. You see, that is to show the professionalism of MACC and also MACA as becoming the training hub for all this country. So that's the beauty of the beauty of it. Not only for MACC officers, of course, as mentioned, but of course we are talking about the international dimension, looking into Malaysia, in particular MACC, and in particular again as MACA, as an institution that can train the officers to ensure the professionalism of the officers.
Right, that's very impressive, Dato'. Now, when we talk about corruption, what are the factors that cause such, unhealthy culture of corruption?
Okay, let me begin by saying a formula. There's one professor mentioned about there's a formula in equation saying that C is equal to M plus D minus A.
Okay.
That's the equation, right?
C is equal to M
plus D minus A.
Okay.
What is mentioned by this professor, Professor Gligat, he said that corruption is equal to because of monopoly plus discretion minus accountability.
Right.
So when we talk about monopoly, well, we had powers. Everybody had power. But when powers plus discretion without any SOPs, for example, without any system and procedures, we talk about guidelines, we talk about legislation. Without that, people will use their discretion to make decision. And that's one of the things. But of course, we need power, the monopoly, we need discretion, but because of the minus accountability, minus integrity, minus transparency, you can add on, minus the system procedures. So while we are adding on all that issue, that is why your question just now, why corruption happen? And I remember talk to Gligat, of course I mentioned it is about integrity at large. Because when we talk about integrity, corruption is just a byproduct of people of no integrity. As a whole, we talk about integrity, we talk about honesty, we talk about the wholesomeness, we talk about people with imbued in them, saying that how to say no, what is the guideline, what are the systems that must be followed. If not, people will deviate from the normal working procedures. They will deviate from all legislation because they will get something out of it. What is there for me? So that's the big question, because when people talk about enriching themselves as opposed to the benefit of others, that's why corruption will happen.
Right. Now, I know there's a government policy that doesn't allow officers to receive gifts, right? But how can you differentiate whether something is given as a corruption or just merely a gift?
Okay, I continue then.
Okay.
Yes.
This is the question. You can add on that.
Okay, no problem.
You see, yes, indeed, in government we have the circular. circular number 3, 1998, talk about very specific circular and giving guidance, giving meaning to say what they should, what they shouldn't do.
Right.
See? And by having that circular, they have to fill up certain forms. If only that gift is considered a gift by that nature, and then getting approval by the superior, then only is considered as approved. They can take it.
Okay.
There are certain amount of the value is one, but more importantly, when we talk about gift, it is not something that will jeopardize the integrity of the officer as opposed to the client. Take for example, I am an investigating officer, for example. If I were to investigate someone and suddenly that personality gives something to me, will that construed as gift that will give any bearing to my investigation?
Right.
That's considered a normal situation. That's why for MACC officers, we don't receive gift. You see, whatever circumstances. What, of course, sometimes we go there, here and there, we give lectures. There are gifts being given. What we must do as a real transparent manner, we report it to our superior.
Right.
But now we have a circular from within, from MACC. We tell our client for MACC not to be given any kind of gift.
Right. Thank you, Dato'. We'll discuss more on that. But before that, we have to go for another short break. Stay tuned to Hello Malaysia.
Terima kasih. Sama-sama. Terima kasih. Sama-sama. Terima kasih. Sama-sama.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. Sama-sama.
Satu cerita, satu bangsa, satu Malaysia.
Hi, welcome back to Hello Malaysia with me, Putri, and also Khairul.
Yeah. If you have any question, you can email us at hellomalaysia.english@penama-tv.com, or you can just comment in our Facebook, Twitters, and also Instagram. Just find out Drama TV.
Yes, we are still here talking about breaking the corruption chain with Dato' Mustafa Haji Ali from MACC and also Dato' Abdul Wahab from MACA. Right, before we went for a break, we were discussing about, how do we differentiate between gifts or something that is given as a corruption. So Dato' Abdul Wahab would like to add
when
on.
we talk about gift, there must be there must be a reason why someone give the gift. If the reason, I mean the motive behind the gift or what you call gift, it might be a corruption. when it's dealing with their public office, dealing with their public office. So there's nothing to do with their public office. It can be a gift.
Okay.
But once dealing with their position, because they give away to them because they are in that position, that can be a corruption.
Right.
It can be corruption.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why when a gift is really a gift, when a gift can construe to corruption or kickbacks or bribery or gratification, so this must be really put forward to the society, because for them it's something like grey area. This is not corruption. This is really a gift because of tradition kind of nature.
Yes.
Ang pao, for example, is it gift? If in the ang pao, in the the red packet, for example, or even in Malay, we have duit raya, containing about 20 ringgit, something is construed as is quite normal. But if that ang pao or duit raya consisting of 2,000 ringgit for a kid 4 years old, is that really a gift or something that this is a question mark again. But of course, we never jump to conclusion. We have to, for MSC, we have to investigate.
Right.
We never jump to conclusion, as I said. But to differentiate between a gift and also whether or not it's a tradition, because as customary in Malaysia, you see, it is something that really adat in our language.
Yes.
So we have to look the change of evidence, whether or not the one who give that gift is really a gift that commensurate as a gift or something that wanted to because of the official dealing. The word official dealing can be construed because of the change of issues. It's actually corruption. Let me tell you about a case. You see, a senior officer in government, his daughter getting married. A contractor brought a gift to the wedding of his daughter. But that gift, actually, a jury said, costing about 6,840 ringgit.
Wow.
Is that normal in our custom? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So when we investigate there again, because of the official dealing. Another thing, gift or discount. Discount also can be construed as gift and also corruption.
Yes.
As this case has been going on, where people willing buyer issues. When people, this case quite because it's still going on in the court. But I can mention in general, when people of his status bought something with a different rate as compared to other people.
Right.
Take for example, in my case, just for example, I don't.
Let's not get you into trouble here.
Not me.
Okay.
Take for example, I'm holding in my possession now. Somebody sold to me a piece of land costing 1 million ringgit, for example. Just an example. I don't have that much money. 1 million ringgit. But to other people, that piece of land is actually worth 5 million ringgit. Why so cheap to me? Why is that? Because of the official dealing. Perhaps because I'm the one who investigate him, or because I'm in that capacity as Deputy Chief Commissioner of the MACC, people think that I can give something, in terms of the official link, because looking into his case. So that can be construed as corruption, and you have heard this case being going on in court, where we prosecuted senior government officers because of he bought a house, bungalow, and 2 pieces of land, and he was convicted up to the appeal court.
Yes, right. So when it comes to MACC's investigation, do you have any target group or specific departments where you scrutinize more on?
Well,
the popular suspects. Any popular suspects?
You see, talk about target. Actually, any sectors, anybody, any facility, MACC is really colorblind.
Okay.
We talk about whoever they are, whatever their post, their designation or position, we don't care. Why I say that? If we receive information or we ourselves get information, because we don't wait for information, we can investigate. You see, and the target is that, not the target. The focus, of course, we are looking into whoever committing an offence. So that's the focus. Because we don't care, small fishes, big fishes, as long as they're fishes, so-called, we get them. One. Secondly, as I said, we are colorblind.
Yep.
We don't care which color they are, because we are really independent, transparent, and professional. And talk about the target. You mentioned about target, right? I remember in 1995, we conducted a study. While doing a study to all government agencies, we have found that top 10 government department or agencies or ministry are the one that comprise of 70% of issues of corruption in the public sector. Without naming who they are, of course, more importantly, or most of them are from the enforcement side. Why? Because they are the one who enforce rules and regulations. They have the powers. They can decide whether to charge, not to charge. They have the powers not to charge, but they have the powers to investigate. They have the powers to issue permit or licenses or giving contract and all that. And when this enforcement agency involved in that, we are looking into this top 10 government department that, as I said, comprise 70% of issues of corruption in the public sector. When we focus to this top 10 government department, we can reduce as much as possible the issues of corruption in that organization. So that's the focus. But of course, as MSCC, whether or not they are from corporate sector, they are from the civil society, they are from government sector, from political parties, all sectors being under our purview, as long as issues of corruption is involved.
Right.
Okay. Let me because Dato' Mustafa talk more about the function of MACC to eradicate corruption. I mean, from outside.
Yes.
What I'm going to say is about fighting corruption from inside.
Okay.
From inside the organization. Like let's say that group. Let's say we identified. From our research, a few departments we are high risk in corruption. So we introduced what we call Certified Integrity Officer program, in which we train the officers from that agency to be the Chief Integrity Officer of that agency. That means we need them to be to fight corruption within their organization. That's why we train them in Makkah. So far, we have certified 250 public officers and also from the private sector as a certified integrity officer. So that means we need to fight the corruption whether from outside also from inside to make it successful.
Right. Right. Thank you so much, Dato'. We'll go for another short break right now. When we come back, we'll discuss more here on Hello Malaysia.
I travel not because I like to travel. I travel so I can say this. What you're looking for is inside of you, and you should be in peace.
Prem Rawat has been traveling for 40 years, inspiring people around the world to find peace within.
I go and I talk to people, and I present them with the possibility of themselves discover the peace that lies within you.
Catch Bernama Today every weekday from 9 a.m. onwards for the latest news, lifestyle stories, interesting personalities, only on Bernama TV.
Dibelenggu kebankrapan semuanya bukan pilihan. Saya pernah cuba dibantu, namun saya tidak hiraukannya kerana saya merasakan MDI akan bertindak kejam terhadap saya. Sehinggalah kebankrapan mula mengganggu hidup saya. Saya hilang punca untuk meneruskan kehidupan. Akaun saya dibekukan. Apa nasib keluarga saya? Selama ini saya menyangka MDI zalim yang membangkrapkan saya. Ternyata sangkaan saya meleset sama sekali.
Jabatan Insolvensi Malaysia, bukan kami yang membangkrapkan anda. Jangan takut atau risau, untuk tampil ke depan. Berilah kerjasama agar kami dapat membantu anda. Layari www.insolvency.gov.my.
Hi, welcome back to Hello Malaysia. We're still here talking about combating and breaking down the corruption chain with Datuk Mustafa Haji Ali, the Deputy Chief Commissioner of Prevention from MACC, and also Datuk Abdul Wahab, the Director of Malaysian Anti-Corruption Academy. Right, Datuk, recently MACA participated in the CPAC meeting, all the parties against corruption, am I correct?
So one of the resolutions that been made through that meeting, the CPAC, the 10th CPAC meeting, they acknowledge or they recognize MACA as a training hub in anti-corruption for the Southeast Asian region. So they need all the countries, the 10 countries, agree to send the officer to train in MACA. So that is very proud of us to be we look as we are important now, really important to be the center of excellence in anti-corruption. That's in conjunction with the anti-corruption days. These are good news for us. And we need to work hard, and then we need to rectify that. I mean, we need to certify that our academy is really a training institution for anti-corruption.
Right, that's very great. And for you, Datuk Mustafa, we know that when it comes to corruption, we need awareness, and we have laws protecting those who are aware of corruption happening. So, what are the protection available for these people who wants to report corruption cases?
I must mention here, we like to get people embrace on two things. The God-fearing society, law-abiding citizen.
Right.
When we talk about rules and regulation, of course, we cannot deviate from these two. Law-abiding, because we are talking about in front of them, there are punishment. But when we talk about God-fearing society, yes, to the hereafter, we are looking into what are the repercussion for not following the laws and all that. But coming back to your issues, what are the protection for them if they were to report issues of corruption? In this country, we have two laws. One, we are talking about Whistleblower Act. Secondly, Witness Protection Act. By having Whistleblower Act, if someone wanted to give information to MACC, they can be assured of protection.
Right.
They don't have to worry a thing, because to a certain party, they wanted to report, but they said, if I were to report, what will happen to me? Perhaps some repercussion against him. They said we always mention they don't have to worry a thing, because the laws covered them from the protection against civil or criminal action against them. That's if they are as whistleblower. Secondly, if they have to appear in court, if people have to appear in court, we have the Witness Protection Act.
Right.
So meaning to say, and they are being guaranteed, they are being protected. Of course, when people blow the whistle, giving information, don't be a champion after that. Sometimes they like to go into disclose, I'm the one who report this issue. That's a no situation. So by having said that, what we must say that is that report to MACC and don't worry a thing. If they goes to court to be a witness, to give testimony, they don't have to worry a thing, because the act can really protect them.
Right. Now, earlier this month, we have the CPI report.
Correct.
And Malaysia has improved in terms of ranking. So any comments on that, Dato'?
I must say, Alhamdulillah, they have improved our ranking from 52 to 50 in terms of, compared to other countries.
Yes.
But what is more significant is the positive effect of that. Why I say positive? The people confidence, the people support, and also when we talk about the perception, because the CPI is actually perception, corruption perception index, that being put year in, year out. But again, as I said, what is more significant is that why the index improved because of the initiative that be conducted by the government, by MACC, by the people at large. Having said that, it can give some, negative feedback if only people used to politicize issues of corruption.
Yes.
Right.
It is only improves, ranking. But when people politicize, as I said, corruption is about who? It's about harm, not about who. So when people try to politicize issues of corruption, politicize the agency, that's why we used to have this analogy. When we saw firemen fighting fire, we had to assist the firemen, right?
Right.
When we saw corruption happen, we have to assist MACC, we have to give information, not fight MACC. But to certain quarters, they like to fight MACC, which is not, the situation. So, but what I like to mention about the CPI, yes, Alhamdulillah, because of the ranking improved, the perception is that because of the initiative. And yes, we did that because I must mention last year, end of last year, 23 initiatives of MACC and the government have been applauded, been praised by the international community in Panama, and that in United Nations Convention Against Corruption conference, that again give insights of how MACC and Malaysia being model to the international community and dimension.
Right. We are approaching to the
end
of the show, unfortunately. So any last words from you, Dr. Abdul Wahab?
Yeah.
For me, thank you very much. Please come to Makkah. You have a training center. We can teach you all about corruption prevention, and especially on those from the government or public sector. We have a training program for them.
They can look it at our website.
Website Makkah at SPRM makkah.gov.my.
Okay, sorry.
And for you, Dato'?
I would like to reiterate again what I said earlier about Abraham Lincoln's word. And of course, in religion, we have mentioned that time again. When he said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. So we are good people in Malaysia. We have to do something about our country by having report issues of corruption, by having complaints given to MACC so that we can act upon the complaints. Of course, we can eradicate corruption if only they can really be a civic-minded citizen. As mentioned by Mahatma Gandhi also on this, he said, the world is enough for everyone's need, but cannot enough even for one man's greed. Thank you for that.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, it has been a very good discussion and a lot of enlightenment for us here. So thank you so much, Dato' Mustafa and also Dato' Abdul Wahab, for joining us today on Hello Malaysia.
Thank you again for listening.
And thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments,
you can just come back to your email us at hellomalaysia.english@bernama-tv.com, or you can just post at our Facebook, Instagram, where we'll look at it, and we'll in future events and in future topics. So do look at us and just post any question, and we'll see you next time.
Right, see you very soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Putri. Goodbye.
Yeah.